This week, Tucker Carlson, country songwriter John Rich, talked about, of all things, the mark of the beast, the tribulation period, the return of Jesus, Scofield Bible, and even the pre-tribulation rapture. And Tucker was absolutely stunned by what he heard. Watch this.
And here we sit going, oh no, they're tracking us right now. They know exactly where we spend our money and where we get our money. Because it says you won't be able to buy or sell unless you have the mark of the beast. You could replace the word beast with system.
Revelation says that.
Oh yeah. Without the mark.
You won't be able to buy or sell
unless you bear the mark.
So why is this important? So Tucker didn't know that the mark of the beast involved not being able to buy or sell. It's important because Tucker kind of represents the average Christian out there that are in our churches, that are friends of ours, that have read the Bible, but because their churches don't teach this kind of stuff, they really don't know this. And in this video, Tucker puts the pieces together that what's happening in the world right now, in terms of digital ID and digital currency, is setting this all up. It was like a light bulb moment for Tucker. Not only that, listen to what he had to say about the events in Matthew 24 and why that made him understand that the Bible was true.
That their name is not written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Meaning the names that are written down, the ones that are going to heaven, your name is not written in the Lamb's Book of Life if you take that. I mean, this is no joke.
How do you not take it?
How do you not take the mark?
Yeah.
You have to be willing to die, suffer. I think about, there's Christians right now all over the world being killed by the hundreds of thousands. We just don't talk about it. They're killing them in China. They're killing them in North Korea. They're killing them in Africa. They're killing them in the Middle East. Why are we above those people? You think America gets to dodge this at some point? Absolutely not. It's a perilous thing to bear the name of Jesus Christ in this world.
One of the reasons I wound up believing that this was true is because as you read this and you read Jesus's pitch to his followers, his disciples,
right?
It's kind of the opposite. Well, you're in the entertainment business, you know. It's the opposite of any other advertising campaign that you would mount. Like, use this laundry detergent, it makes your clothes cleaner.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Eat this food, it's delicious.
Right.
Jesus is like, follow me and you're going to get hated by everybody, including your own family, and then killed.
This is Bible teacher Nelson Walters. And you may wonder why Bible teacher like me is going over a discussion between a pro-country songwriter and Tucker Carlson. I mean, seems unlikely, right? Well, what you probably don't know about me is that I was a pro-country songwriter also. I've had 70 recordings of my songs over the years, and I know the industry John Rich is coming from. And this conversation between Tucker and John Rich is happening because right now, the #1 country song in the United States, probably in the world, is a song called Revelation by John Rich. It actually talks about what happens in the book of Revelation. It's pretty incredible. If you haven't listened to it, there'll be a link at the bottom of this video. And it's actually the #2 song in all genres. So I think my experience as a pro-country songwriter and as a Bible teacher make me uniquely qualified to talk about this video. If you look at it, John Rich is kind of like most of us that are on this channel. He's pretty well read in terms of Bible prophecy. He's talking to someone who isn't so well read about Bible prophecy, Tucker Carlson. I think in there lies the secret for us to talk to our friends, our families, our churches, and even our pastors.
When you said you'd written a song about Revelation, I was like, well, it's a legitimate book of the Bible, but it's the one that preachers don't teach, that no one really wants to read. And I'm thinking, that's so great. I couldn't wait to talk to you about it. But
yeah,
I didn't think that anyone
it's an uncomfortable
would
book.
Want to hear it. So
Tucker's laughing because this is like the most unlikely song of all time. You know, those Rich Men North of Richmond song. Well, that kind of was of that ilk where you didn't think it would happen. Here's a nobody guy who gets a song out there and it goes to #1. John Rich isn't a nobody, but right now, his record label, he says, is a post office box. He's not working for a record label anymore. And he gets the #2 song in all genres across the whole world. I mean, how do you do that when your subject matter is the book of Revelation and it talks about judgment? How does that happen? And so that's why Tucker's laughing. I mean, how does this occur? You know, it's the book nobody wants to read and pastors don't want to preach on. So that's what this video is about. How do you take a person from not wanting to listen to this stuff to suddenly getting interested? And I think the ideas in what John Rich did, taking a guy like Tucker, who really isn't that biblically literate, and getting him to understand that this is really important stuff, is gold, absolute gold.
So tell us about Revelation. You said Revelation is the story of Jesus coming back.
Right.
What's in it exactly? Because I think even a lot of Christians haven't read it carefully, don't understand it, don't want to confront it. What is it?
So in this song and in this video, what it is talking about is what the real war is. The real war is not Trump and Biden. The real war is not left and right. The real war is not culture war. It says in Ephesians, we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities and powers and the rulers of spiritual darkness of this earth, of this world. That is the battle. That's the real battle.
Do you see how John Rich did that? Do you see how they started with a conversation and Tucker was asking him a couple questions about Revelation, and all of a sudden, John Rich turned the conversation to what was interesting to Tucker, where he said, the real war isn't about Trump and Biden. And this conversation was just only a day or so after the assassination attempt. And it's not about the culture war, things that were really interesting to Tucker. And he flips it around and he says, that's not the war. The war is between good and evil, the forces of good and evil. And when we talk to our pastors or to our friends about spiritual matters that involve the end times, we need to do it in terms of what interests them. What John Rich just did in this video is exactly what I recommend all of us do when we're talking to those who aren't as interested as we are in end times.
Amazing. So why is Revelation so hard for people to grasp, to read, to understand?
So for thousands of years, the prophecies in Revelation and Daniel and other places seemed like such science fiction to people. They just couldn't understand how these things are even possible, including my own dad, who's been preaching since he was about 19. He's in his early 70s now. And he said, yeah, John, just never could understand how some of these things were possible. For instance, the mark of the beast. How is it possible, we would all say, that you could track every human being in the world and know where they are and how they get their money and where they spend their money? I mean, that's just impossible. And here we sit going, oh no, they're tracking us right now. They know exactly where we spend our money and where we get our money. Because it says you won't be able to buy or sell unless you have the mark of the beast. You could replace the word beast with system.
Revelation says that.
Oh yeah. Without the mark.
You won't be able to buy or sell
unless you bear the mark of the beast. A globalized stranglehold on the human population that they will know where you spend your money, where you get your money. Reminds me of central bank digital currency.
Like I said, what John Rich is doing here, and what he does, what we just saw, is like a textbook. There's no question that the Holy Spirit was guiding him through this conversation with Tucker Carlson. So the next thing he does is he answers a couple questions. One, why haven't people traditionally read Revelation? And the reason is because historically, none of his stuff made sense. He gives the example about his father. Then next, he becomes very incisive and he cuts right to the chase and he brings it into our very present world, talking about how people are being tracked and our money is being tracked. And our money will soon be controlled with central bank digital currency. He makes it as real as today to people so that they can see what was in Revelation is now coming into this world. And that's where he catches Tucker's interest.
If something like that happens.
So I've read, I'm embarrassed. This is being recorded. I probably shouldn't admit this. I've read Revelation, actually.
Sure.
I tried to understand it last year. I didn't realize it said, how did I miss that? It says you can't buy or sell without the mark of the beast.
Without the mark. Yes, that's
John,
correct.
on the Apostle John on some Greek island 2,000 years ago said that.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And so,
Damn.
so prior to technology showing up where it's at now in 2024, these things were impossible. Couldn't, I mean, how's that going to happen?
That's a pretty specific call, though.
Very specific. Yeah. So now all the things that need to exist physically are all here now, so that the prophecies that have been laid out could now physically manifest. Now, I don't know if that's going to be today or 100 years from now or 1,000 years from now. I don't know the answer to that, but I do know this is a new era. So when you read Revelation and you read Daniel and you read these other prophecies, it's now doesn't sound like science fiction anymore because we see it every single day.
That is absolutely crazy.
Is that a light bulb going off or what?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And I also don't quite know how I read the whole thing and didn't catch that.
Well,
because that is one of the central questions. I mean, that's like top 3 question of our current moment is, will we allow technology to take our autonomy away? And, for example, control what we buy or sell. I mean, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, with the advent, we've got AI now in the mix. Yeah. We've got all these things that, I mean, we already know they track us. We already know they know where we spend our money. We already know those things.
So John Rich created a light bulb moment for Tucker. Tucker even said that. He took something that Tucker knew, central bank digital currency and technology, and he linked it to something else that Tucker kind of knew about from the Bible, the mark of the beast, but, not really. And he brought them together so that Tucker could see in his mind how the mark of the beast could be fulfilled using what Tucker already knew, central bank digital currency and technology, AI. This is exactly what we need to do, you and me. I am challenging all of you to either speak to an elder, to your pastor, to a friend about this within the next month, using the John Rich methodology. And the next step is even more important. And that is, all right, so they may do this. What is the impact? What's the impact of this mark of the beast?
Because when those things happen, you're going to think it's not the real deal. You're going to think, well, I'm still here, so that can't be it. It must be something else. And the decisions you make under that false pretense would be catastrophic to you. It says anybody that takes the mark of the beast, that their name is not written in the Lamb's book of life. Meaning the names that are written down, the ones that are going to heaven, your name is not written in the Lamb's book of life if you take that. I mean, this is no joke.
How do you not take it?
How do you not take the mark?
Yeah.
You have to be willing to die, suffer. I think about, there's Christians right now all over the world being killed by the hundreds of thousands. We just don't talk about it. They're killing them in China. They're killing them in North Korea. They're killing them in Africa. They're killing them in the Middle East. Why are we above those people? You think America gets to dodge this at some point? Absolutely not. It's a perilous thing to bear the name of Jesus Christ in this world.
One of the reasons I wound up believing that this was true is because as you read this and you read Jesus's pitch to his followers, his disciples,
right?
It's kind of the opposite. Well, you're in the entertainment business, it's the opposite of any other advertising campaign that you would mount. Like, use this laundry detergent, it makes your clothes cleaner.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Eat this food, it's delicious.
Right.
Jesus is like, follow me and you're going to get hated by everybody, including your own family, and then killed.
So what John Rich said here is the natural conclusion, the impact. everyone who takes the mark is eternally damned. So the impact on whoever you're talking to is that their congregation, will be eternally damned if they're not ready for this and they end up taking this hard mark. And the idea is that all the technology is finally in place for this to really happen. So at this point, you would ask whoever you were talking to, well, what do you think you and I should do about this? Isn't that the logical question? What do you think you and I, include yourself in it, should do about this? And back up and give them some space to answer. And be prepared for some pretty awkward moments, because what's a person going to say? Either they're going to completely turn their life around and begin preaching something that they've never preached before to their congregation, or they're going to come up with two answers. First answer is, well, no one knows the day or the hour. And the easy solution to that is saying, that's right. It could be tomorrow that your congregation has to face these exact things. So there's no time like the present. No matter what you were preaching on Sunday, maybe this is what you should be preaching. That may not go over well, but it's the truth. No one knows the day or the hour, so the days are fast approaching. So that's item one, easily dismissed. Item two is, well, we don't have to worry about that because we're going to be out of here first. And John Rich and Tucker actually spent an inordinate amount of time, maybe like 45 minutes on this conversation, talking about exactly that topic, the pre-trib rapture.
200 years ago, basically in 1830, a very wealthy, very charismatic preacher named John Darby, D-A-R-B-Y, came with this doctrine that's now referred to as the secret rapture or the pre-tribulation rapture. The problem with that doctrine is there's several places in the Bible where it talks about what's going to happen prior to Jesus Christ coming back to the earth. When he does come back, that is when what we call the rapture happens. The word rapture is nowhere in the Bible. It talks about us being caught up with him and pulled out of here, and then the ultimate wrath is poured out on this planet. That's what we call the rapture. So that's not in debate. The question is, what happens leading up to that? It's a good question to ask, right? For some reason, nobody ever preaches that.
Now, if you've followed this ministry for any length of time, you know our basic position on the rapture is hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. In other words, everybody, regardless of your rapture position, should be hoping that we're all out of here and that we don't have to face the mark of the beast. But we can't rely on that. We can't trust in that. We can't put our faith in a position. We have to put our faith in Jesus. But Jesus in the Bible seems to warn Christians about an awful lot of stuff that might happen. So our position is prepare for the worst, hope for the best, prepare for the worst, prepare for all the stuff that Jesus warned us about in the Bible. Now, I have a conversation about this with a pre-trib rapture teacher, Tom Hughes, who he and I agree on this 100%. And we go through this and talk about why it's important to prepare, even if you believe that you're going to be taken out of here. That's just a theory. Prepare as if you could be wrong. Till then, this is Nelson, and I'll see you there.